Larry Feldman is probably the most amazing trainer that I've ever experienced in this business. I've been in the car business now for 35 years, and I've seen quite a few trainers. And a lot of them are pretty good. I mean, really, I get something out of all of them that I've seen, really. But Larry is in another class. I really mean that. His training is literally riveting. A little while back, I sat in on his first training that I ever sat in on. It was for new hires. I still remember, I'll never forget it. About 25 people in the room who'd never sold cars before. And he started to do his training. And after 2 hours, I was in the back of the room and I raised my hand meekly and Larry stopped what he was doing and said, yes. And I said, maybe we should take a break. And literally, I'll never forget it. All 25 people turned around, looked at me and went, well, okay. And they turned back to Larry. And Larry looked at me and goes, okay. And he kept going for another 2 hours.
Hello there. This is Young Cop with the famous AutoHub Show, now in season 6. So if you are looking to be on the show, we have 2 live shows a week, but we also have the new last year, which is the one-on-one show. And I have the pleasure of having Catherine on. I think it's Catherine. That's correct. And also, if you want one of these new groovy hats that I was supposed to have for NADA, I finally got them a month and a half later. They are available at no cost. You just got to pay shipping. So I got 3 colors. I got red, I got blue, I got black. The blue is not really obnoxious. The black is not either. The red is for the obnoxious of people. So those are the 3 colors. And they're pretty groovy. They're from a company in Texas called Brandon Bills. They make a really high quality product that was recommended to them from a buddy of mine. They make really good shirts too, and I have some of those that are also available in limited sizes because I did get them in NADA. So some of them I gave out, but I still have some available. So Catherine, tell me more about what you do, but more importantly, why automotive?
Well, and it's always interesting how people get into a space, isn't it? And I'm what's called a serial entrepreneur.
Wow.
So my history is that I like to start companies and solve problems, and but I've been doing it for a while, and so I was taking a break and I was teaching marketing and entrepreneurship at Chico State when a friend came to me and said, "Oh, I need some help publishing a magazine for a new organization that got started called the National Ford Truck Club." And this was an organization that is similar to regional clubs. It was all about the people that sell commercial vehicles.
Okay.
And commercial vehicles obviously are very different because they are to a completely different target audience, a different customer, right?
Yeah.
And honestly, especially back then, I started publishing Ford Pros magazine in 2007. And when I started publishing it, at that time, the commercial departments in the dealerships were usually out far away in a little trailer in the back, right? And but what happened, Ian, is I've been in a couple different industries, and when I got involved in this industry, I fell in love with it. And to me, especially the B2B part of it, the hardworking, salt of the earth backbone of the U.S. economy. And they would tell me anything. I mean, it was a very transparent, nice space. And so a couple years into publishing Ford Pros magazine and getting to interview people, as you know it, you learn a lot, don't you?
Oh, yeah.
And I realized that this space had a big problem. And that problem is that the VIN was put on the vehicle when the OEM created it. But the vehicles for commercial are what are called a cab chassis, which is the cab, but nothing on the back, and an empty van, like a tin can, and that they got turned into a vehicle that was specifically for a use case, for a business, and no one was keeping track of what these vehicles became.
Wow.
So at the time, the commercial space was $130 billion a year in new sales. Today, it's over $170 billion. I mean, 80% of our GDP is powered by commercial vehicles.
Right.
And yet, They didn't keep track of knowing what the product was that they were selling. And because I was teaching marketing, I knew all this, right? That means that they didn't know who their customers were either. And my head just exploded. And I went, how could this be? I mean, and I thought somebody must be fixing it. And I traveled around the country a little bit in 2010, trying to understand the supply. The supply chain is very fragmented. The way that a vehicle gets built is complicated and not very. It's very opaque. You can't see into it. And finally, by 2011, I realized that no one else even kind of recognized the problem. And I actually went to my husband and said, hey, I want to start another company. And he said, well, I'm enjoying being retired, so you go ahead and I'll give you emotional support. And I said, and I promise that I won't refinance our house yet again or, use our credit card. And I jumped in, and in 2012, well, first I had to say, well, how do I start? And I realized that that data was only available at a dealership just before the vehicle got sold. So the plan was we created a plug-in for the dealer's website that took the data from the invoice of what's called the upfit, right? That's what that's called. And we took that and digitized it and turned it into a way for businesses to search for a dump truck or a flatbed or an ambulance. I mean, you couldn't even go online and search for those things at that time. So, end of 2012, we launched our first dealer. Today, we have over 1,300 dealerships that are using our platform to help them run a commercial business. Because as it turns out, all the tools that you need to run that commercial business are different than retail.
Right.
Totally different. So over time, we've continued to help and build tools. About halfway there, we found out that we could help the upfitters, the ones that were doing it, because they would actually have to get in a car and drive to the dealership to see what was still in stock. And we said, well, we could send you an alert when somebody sells something. We could aggregate inventory and show it on your website so that customers that are brand loyal to you can find things. And that went so well that General Motors came to us and said, that thing that you're doing there, could you do that for Chevrolet and for GMC? And so we started powering the tier 1 sites for General Motors. We now power also Ram and Stellantis, and we power Ford Pro. And so what we also did is just in the nick of time, honestly, in 2019, at the end of 19, we had decided that we could help everybody by having a national marketplace. Mm-hmm. That marketplace is called Comvoy, Comvoy, where we aggregate all. Pardon?
More details below.
Okay, yeah, because, we power these wonderful businesses. I mean, this is everything from caterers to construction to, HVAC to delivery. All of them struggle finding vehicles because they're so custom. And so we launched Comvoy at the end of 19, and then of course everybody had to go home. So it was perfect timing to have something out there that people could look at. And by the way, that was a good time too for people to see how critically important these people that serve us, right? And I think that kind of triggered the OEMs to realize that this is a stable, growing business. Why not focus on it? And that's really what we've seen, Ian, is that over the last few years, of course, we did all go through there is no inventory, right? And as a result, we built some things around searching and acquiring remarketed commercial vehicles and being able to order things better. And so we continue to just look at this space as a space that, I don't know, for me, it's been much different than any company I started before. This is more like I feel like I'm serving a group of people that I really respect. And
Right.
I love dealers too. I mean, dealers, they're such an intrinsic part of the community that they're in. And when I think about how important it is for them to engage and support with the businesses in their community and what that ends up doing. So we actually call it the multiplier. The multiplier is you find this business, Bob's HVAC, right?
Right.
You make sure that he's served well, that he gets to the front of the line when he needs repair service because he's losing $2,000 to $5,000 a day, and he becomes loyal to you. And then guess what? Bob's wife needs to buy a car. Bob's, three, mechanics they're hearing good things about the dealership. We've really seen that this is a strategy more in addition to a revenue generator because these vehicles have really good margins, just so you know. And yeah.
So what about that dealer who says, "Hey, I don't have a commercial department. I have that occasional customer comes in and wants that. I'm in a small market, but I want to be able to sell that." Is it Comvoy? I think it's called Comvoy. Is that correct?
So Comvoy is the national marketplace. And so they can use that to have a broad market to sell things. One of the things, because we're software as a service on the platform that we provide, is that we do in that platform focus on dealers who may be starting out,
Okay.
dealers that may not want to have the full, build all the way up to big departments where they've built 50 bay 50 bay service organizations because there's a huge opportunity on that in the market. I think, we really think that everybody should have an opportunity to choose how they want to engage with businesses in their market. And we do a lot of research around that. So the other thing that we're willing to do for dealers is help them understand their market better and say, here's for your market, for your geography, for what you want to accomplish, here's what you could expect.
So what percentage? Like I'm looking at a dealer who's saying, let's just say I'm a dealer who just got into it versus one that's been at it a while. Like what percentage of that dealer's business realistically, like a big dealer who does a lot of commercial, would that be? Like how much of that volume
I
would it
have to say that I've not double checked this in a couple of years, but I used to ask that question a
Yeah.
lot. And I would say, a dabbler, probably 10%, 15%, but somebody who's really leaning in and has a whole department, 40 to 50, 40%, maybe even more. I mean, there's some markets that are just so excellent for commercial. And like I said, the margins are significantly better. The loyalty adds to that, the opportunity for the service and the financing and, aftermarket warranties and all of that are just so different because these are people that have to be up and running, uptime every day.
Right.
They don't argue, they don't wait for the coupon to do service like I do for my car, by the way. Right?
So what about like city government? Like they have, when I lived in Vancouver, British Columbia, one of my clients was the city of Richmond, and they had literally a binder about yay big just with insurance documents on their inventory, and they had thousands of vehicles. You pick it, they had it. We were selling them hybrids, I think, at the time, but it was interesting because just the volume of different vehicles they had in stock that they used on a daily basis. I mean, is that something
it is absolutely true. And if you think about the market, it kind of is divided into three big categories. One category is big fleet, right?
Yeah.
It's thousands and thousands of vehicles, but for a commercial business.
Yeah.
And there are opportunities. Sometimes it requires that you be in a particular kind of market.
Right.
But, sometimes what's around you, you would be surprised that there could be a company that is operating that you may not know about that has
Right.
that. But it's very kind of enterprise, you need to walk the walk, talk the talk to them.
Yeah.
And by the way, the OEMs help a lot with that because they know that's important.
Yeah.
And then, like you said, there's government, and government has its own foibles. I mean, if you've ever, responded at an RFI, ooh, all the kinds of stuff that you have to do and execute in the way that they have you play the game. And we know some dealers that are like really, really good at it. And we know some dealers that have just looked at it and said, that's too complicated, don't want to do it, right? And then the kind of, meat and potatoes part is what we call the flea tail part. These are the smaller businesses, they're, but 64% of all fleets in the United States are 10 vehicles and under. 51% are 5 vehicles and under. And when you recognize what a big scope these smaller companies are and how local they are to the dealer, the dealer relationship, they're a really big opportunity. And so I think of them those different ways. And we have dealers, that's the cool thing about dealers. Dealers are kind of like entrepreneurs, right? They look at their market and they decide what's important to them personally and how they want to grow their business. And so we like that we have the ways to show them what the options are, and then they can pick.
So when you're looking at when dealers are saying, hey, okay, I'm all in, I want to build this department, I'm all in, I want access to the software, maybe I build a department. I mean, what does it cost for them to use the software? How difficult is the setup? Because we know dealers aren't as technical as they could be. Like, what does that look like?
Well, we'll tell you, I'll start with the last thing you asked. Our goal is one login. Anything they need to do in their department for that running the commercial department, our goal is to have a single login. And we've partnered with a couple of other technology companies to help make that true, right? Because it is hard. And honestly, I will actually, I'll give you a big announcement we made last week at Work Truck Week. Happens every March in Indianapolis. 2 weeks ago, we finalized a investment in a new investor for Work Truck Solutions.
Okay.
They are a fabulous venture. A fabulous joint venture company out of Boulder, Colorado.
Okay.
Private equity, and they saw what they believe we could do to grow, and we're very excited about that. Because we see that there's a lot more that can be done to help these dealers do whatever they want. But today, our platform offers them inventory management. It offers them up management, like lead management, visibility. It gives them reporting. So there's a very good foundation, and dealers that have what we call truck pros or salespeople, they spend their days on the platform looking at inventory, sending out emails, and doing that kind of stuff. It depends on the pricing depends on the OEM, because we have to coordinate with the programs that the OEMs offer. So I don't really want to get into specifics because I don't want somebody to, worry about that. But everything, we equalize it as much as we can. And we have like a starter package, and then we have the advanced package, which, by the way, includes content, which allows them to be the experts in the marketplace. Based on what's important to them, whether they're focusing on service or whether they're focusing on maybe the new electric vehicles. There's a lot going on, and we support them through building content for their SEO and for them to position themselves. So we are happy, though, to individually talk to anybody, and we're not trying to hide pricing at all. It's very clear what it is.
Fair enough. So how would they get in touch if they have questions? How would they get a demo of the platform? How does that work?
We make it really simple. It's info at Work Truck Solutions. Info at worktrucksolutions.com. And that'll get to exactly the right person for exactly what they want to do. And we have a fabulous, I guess I should say, when I decided to start another company, I said, what's the most important thing that I've learned from making all the mistakes that I've made before? And I have to tell you, it's about culture and the fact that for us, the culture of our company and being a company that wants to help and being a place where everybody in the company is valued, we're hardworking, we're transparent, and that carries through in how we behave and treat our dealer partners. And so, we're very good at making sure that you get to talk to the right person, and we care about it.
Well, thanks very much for taking the time. Obviously, you can check out how to get started on the commercial side, whether it be fleet or specialized vehicles or finding vehicles or possibly picking up other business from fleet business that maybe you're not familiar with. With looking at Comvoy, there will be more details below. And of course, Catherine and her team will be happy to help you. Thanks for taking the time today. A really interesting area of the market. And I think it's an area that a lot of dealers probably aren't aware of. I'm almost positive that we interviewed a member of your team at one of the shows you were at a couple years ago. Might have been one of our ambush interviews. I don't know, but I didn't know that much about the platform. But if you need a demo, you want to get a sense of pricing, OEM support, you want to get a sense of how quickly you could be up, you want to dip your toe in the water and see what's going on, I'm sure Catherine and her team can help you. Thanks for taking the time today.
Well,
and
thank
happy
you.
St. Patrick's Day for next week. I hear it's Monday, so I guess there'll be some pre-drinking on the weekend. St. Patrick's
I got to remember to wear green. It is our color, black and green, so we're good.
Absolutely. My wife's 100% Irish, so I'm a quarter, but I think there'll be some pre-drinking. And actually, ironically, in the Canadian market, there's a brewery out in the Maritimes north of Maine called Moosehead. So they took a page from Marketing 101 and they said, hey, we're going to sell you enough beer that you can buy a beer supply for 4 years, just in case you don't want to pay more over the next 4 years.
Oh my gosh,
beer
futures. Beer futures. I love it.
Yeah, it's a beer a day for 4 years. I think it's something like 1,700 beers that they'll ship to your house on them. And the cost is, but it's like basically a container full of beer. Like just show it up in your driveway. I just thought it was a hilarious marketing idea. They're calling it the presidential package or something, which I thought was hilarious. But I don't know if that's specifically for St. Patrick's Day, but they do, green is their color. So I thought that was kind of hilarious, just because politics are a little crazy these days and everywhere. So, but thanks very much.
Thank you, Ian. I appreciate it.